Well, as we've seen, the New South Wales Nationals have won a thumping victory in the Upper Hunter by-election, recording big swings in the traditional Labor stronghold of Singleton. And while the result secures majority government for Gladys Berejiklian, I'd have to say tonight, opposition leader Jodi McKay is on political death row. As many as 4 Labor MPs are lining up for McKay's job, with the party's Upper Hunter candidate Jeff Drayton saying it's time for Labor to do some soul searching after winning little more than 20% of the vote. For more on this, I'm joined from Sydney by the New South Wales Deputy Premier, Nationals leader John Barilaro. John Barilaro, congratulations, a pretty emphatic win. You were on the ground in the Upper Hunter for much of the last couple of weeks. I'm interested in your sense of it all. Was this an endorsement of Gladys Berejiklian's leadership in the pandemic, or perhaps a rejection of Labor's green left politics?
Good evening, Peter. Look, for me, I spent 6 weeks on the ground, technically being a local member on behalf of the people of the Upper Hunter, and what we did was go town hall by town hall, talking about the issues that actually mattered, and there's no question job security was at the heart of it, and of course mining being a big part of job security for the Upper Hunter. You know, they're happy to talk about transition in the future, but they know that the resource is there for another 50, 60 years. Our Future of Coal statement identifies that. And secondly, of course, there's a huge demand for New South Wales Upper Hunter coal internationally. So that demand will continue globally. And therefore, what they don't like is being lectured to. Look, there's no question that Gladys's, the Premier's leadership during the pandemic and the rebuilding of the economy and the recovery played a big part of the result. But I can tell you, most of these by-elections are won on local issues. And I'm proud that the Nats ran a grassroots campaign, talked about the issues that matter, and guess what? It didn't align with what some of the former Prime Minister was trying to lecture those in the Upper Hunter from Sydney.
Yeah, I was surprised. He goes out there and crows about 7% and a bit of the vote. I mean, that's hardly a ringing endorsement for an anti-coal position. Your colleague federally, Matt Canavan, makes the point that 82% of the vote went to pro-coal candidates. And Malcolm, I think, gave the candidate there, the Green Left candidate, the independent kiss of death. Give me a sense, you had 6 weeks, as you say, in the Hunter. Is there a warning in all of this for Scott Morrison not to wholeheartedly embrace net zero?
Yeah, look, I think the message for Scott Morrison from a federal perspective is keep going the way you're going. In my mind, the agenda of the federal government, the vast majority is on the right track. The announcement of the Curry gas generator was a positive announcement, which actually tore the Labor Party apart. You had Joel Fitzgibbon, of course, supporting it, others not so, and at a state level, absolutely not. They don't support gas. They don't see it as a transition fuel, and it really does play against where Labor sits today, and that is that they've abandoned fossil fuels, they've abandoned the coal industry, mining, they've abandoned gas as well in the state, and that means industry and jobs. And you know, my only advice to ScoMo is to keep doing what he's doing. Don't fall for the trap of going to the left, falling for the trap about reacting in some extreme way to climate change. Look, we'll get to net zero emissions in the future. We're probably trying to resolve it all in today's technology. The truth will be the technology of the decades ahead will also help us achieve that. And there is no panic. So job security across all industries. If you stick on that agenda, I think you can only get success in the electorate.
I want to pick up a point about a range of minor parties. One Nation and the Shooters both pulling together a quarter of the vote. Now, I think Mark Latham, New South Wales One Nation leader, is potent, a very potent force in your state. Plenty of lessons for Labor, sure, out of the weekend, but I tell you what, if I was back in my old job in Canberra, I would be worried about some of the leakage of votes on the centre right to these minor parties. You've got an election coming up. How concerned are you by that?
Oh, look, absolutely. What One Nation has done, there's no question, and I know Labor is seeing it today. One Nation actually took a lot of votes from the Labor Party. They bled a lot to One Nation, maybe because Mark Latham is a former Labor leader, so he was able to really attack the base of Labor. But yeah, look, these minor parties are there. He actually also hurt the shooters. I mean, the shooters, don't forget, in New South Wales, 80% of the time have actually voted with the Labor Party. 70% of the time, that includes the Greens. So I think the shooters got caught out on the weekend. They thought they were going to poll about 20-25% themselves. They went backwards in swings in some booths of up to 25 to 30%. So there's a message to the shooters: stop playing games and pretending to be conservative, but voting with the Labor-Green alliance in Macquarie Street. I think there's a lesson for them. Mark Latham, and under his banner, One Nation, is a real threat to the people, to the major parties. But again, some of our parties, I know my National Party colleagues, like myself, I'd rather negotiate with Mark Latham and One Nation in the Parliament, because what he says is what most people are thinking, and I'd like to see us align ourselves more with them.
Look, you're spot on about the One Nation vote. It does, bleed out in preferences to Labor in some booths more than it does to the Conservative side. And interestingly, saying one thing in the bush and voting another way in Macquarie Street, that's damaging shooters, and I think that's been something that's come out in the last sort of 6 to 8 months. Tell me about McKay. My political read, she's dead woman walking tonight. How long will it be before they move on her?
We know the Labor Party can be savage in this space, but let's just put it this way, and I said this comment yesterday. Sometimes when you want to replace the jockey, you think you've fixed the problem. The problem isn't with the jockey in the Labor Party in New South Wales. It's actually the horse. The horse is broken. Their policies, they're anti-privatisation, they're anti-legislation to protect farmers, they're anti-mining position, they're anti-gas position, they're anti-job position. They're just the spokesparty for the union movement. Their attack on business and industry. That's where their problem lies. So you can change Jodi McKay tonight or tomorrow, and look, she's definitely under pressure. But if you don't change the shadow ministers, if you don't change the direction of the party and the policy position, you're going to end up with the same outcome. They've been in government in opposition for 10 years. They've had 4 different leaders, but their policy platform doesn't change. And I think that's what Jeff Drayden was talking about, and that's what Joel Fitzgibbon is talking about. So in one way, I don't think Jodi's the problem. She will pay the price, there's no doubt, because Labor are pretty fierce in this space. But if Labor doesn't change its platform, this will continue to be its problem. And, they've got the secret to success. It's called Mark McGowan over in WA. He played in the centre. He took policies off the National Party and the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party decided to go left. And guess what? They were annihilated at the state election. So, look, I feel for Jodi. She's going to pay the price, there's no doubt. But I don't think there's the problems with Jodi. It's with the party.
Well done on the campaign, John Barilaro. As I said, emphatic win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter.